Let me ask you something honest. Think back to every class you've ever sat through. Math, science, history, English, maybe even some economics if you were lucky. Now think about this. Did anyone ever sit you down and explain how money actually works in real life? Not formulas, not GDP definitions, but how to actually build wealth, keep it, and not quietly panic every time an unexpected bill shows up. For most of us, the answer is no. And for a long time, I used to think that was just a gap in the curriculum. Like, okay, they forgot to add that chapter. But the more I started paying attention to how people who actually build wealth think, not influencers, not lottery winners, but real, quietly wealthy people, the more I realized something a little uncomfortable. It wasn't an accident. We were taught to earn. We were never taught to keep. And there's one rule, one single mental shift that separates the people who build lasting wealth from the people who earn decent money their whole lives and still feel financially stuck. I'm going to walk you through it today. Not because it's a secret, but because nobody ever explained it in a way that actually made sense. Now, here's the thing that trips most people up. When we think about becoming wealthy, we think about income. We think about raises, promotions, side hustles, better jobs. And income matters. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. But here's what's strange. There are people making $150,000 a year who are one emergency away from financial collapse. And there are people making $55,000 a year who are quietly, steadily building real financial security. Same economy, same inflation, wildly different outcomes. So what explains that gap? Most people assume it's discipline. Like the wealthy person just has more willpower. They don't buy coffee. They resist temptation. They're stricter, more serious about money. But that explanation never really sat right with me. Because discipline isn't a personality trait. Discipline is a system. And the people who are winning financially, they're not just gritting their teeth harder. They're playing by a completely different set of rules. The rule isn't about sacrifice. It isn't about suffering. And it has almost nothing to do with how much you make. It has everything to do with what you do first. Here's the concept, and I want you to really sit with it for a second. The rule is this: pay yourself first. I know, you've probably heard that phrase before, and I know it might sound simple, almost dismissive, like, yeah, okay, pay yourself first, great, thanks. But I don't think most people have ever really understood what that actually means beneath the surface. Because it's not just a savings tip, it's a complete restructuring of how you think about your entire financial life. Let me explain what most of us actually do. You get paid, money hits your account, and then life starts pulling at it. Rent, groceries, the electric bill, that subscription you forgot about, gas, a birthday dinner you can't get out of, maybe an emergency, maybe just a rough week where you needed to decompress and spent more than you planned. And then, at the end of the month, you look at what's left and you try to save that. Whatever survives the chaos, that becomes your savings. That system actually has a name. It's called pay yourself last. And almost every person who feels financially stuck is running that system without even realizing it. The problem isn't your willpower. The problem is the order of operations. When you pay yourself last, you're essentially saying, my financial future gets whatever is left over after everything else is handled. And life, being what it is, has an almost magical ability to fill whatever space you give it. If there's $400 left at the end of the month, something will come up that costs $380. It's not bad luck. It's just how spending works when there's no structure around it. Now, flip the sequence. Paying yourself first means the moment money enters your account, a portion of it, before bills, before groceries, before anything, goes somewhere you don't easily touch. A savings account, an investment account, a retirement fund. Whatever the vehicle is, the move happens first, automatically, non-negotiably. And then you live on what's left. That shift changes everything. There's a psychological reason this works so well, and it goes deeper than just you have more savings. There's a concept in behavioral economics called present bias. It basically means our brains are wired to overvalue what's happening right now compared to what will happen in the future. So when you're holding $500 and you've got a bill in front of you and a vague thought like, I should probably save something, your brain is going to prioritize that bill, that present, immediate, real thing, much more than a retirement account that feels abstract and distant. And you're not weak for feeling that pull. That's just how human brains are built. We evolved to solve today's problems, not problems 30 years from now. But the financial system we live in requires us to think 30 years ahead. And nobody ever really taught us how to bridge that gap. Paying yourself first is essentially a workaround for present bias. You're not relying on future you to suddenly have the discipline to save what's left. You're removing the choice entirely. The money moves before present you even has a chance to debate it. Now, there's another psychological layer to this. It's called the pain of paying. Every time you spend money, there's a small but measurable discomfort in your brain, like a tiny friction point. But when you automate your savings, that friction never even activates. You don't feel the loss because you never consciously chose to give it up. It just becomes part of the structure of your finances, like rent. You don't sit there every month debating whether to pay rent. It's just a fixed reality, and your savings should feel the same way. Now, I want to address something, because I know what some of you are thinking. That sounds great, but I'm already stretched thin. I literally can't save anything right now. And I hear that. I really do. Because there are situations where money is genuinely tight. And I'm not going to insult your intelligence by pretending everyone is just spending recklessly. Some people are one paycheck away from zero because the cost of living is brutal and wages haven't kept up. That's real. But here's what I want to gently challenge, not in a preachy way, just honestly. For a lot of people, not all, but a lot, the feeling of not being able to save is less about the math and more about the sequence. They've never actually tested what it feels like to move even $50 or $75 before anything else gets touched. That small amount feels invisible when it disappears into the chaos of the month. But when it moves first and you build your life around what's left, it often turns out the sky doesn't fall. The number matters less than the habit. Seriously. A person who consistently saves $100 a month starting at 25 will almost always end up in a better financial position than someone who plans to save $500 a month but waits until they're in a better position to start, because that better position has a way of never quite arriving. And the math here is actually worth understanding. If you save $200 a month starting at 25, and that money grows at a modest 7% annual return in a broad index fund, you'll have roughly $525,000 by the time you're 65. If you wait until 35 to start the exact same habit, you'll end up with around $243,000. Same amount per month, same rate of return. But 10 years of delay costs you roughly $280,000. That's not meant to scare you. It's meant to show you something important. Time is the most powerful ingredient in this entire equation. And the only way to capture time is to start now, even if it's imperfect. So what does the actual turning point look like? It happens when someone stops thinking of savings as something they do with what's left and starts thinking of it as the first obligation to themselves. That might sound like a small shift, but it carries an enormous amount of psychological weight. Most of us were raised, explicitly or implicitly, with this idea that taking care of yourself financially is somehow selfish, that you pay the bills first because that's responsible, you pay everyone else first, and whatever's left, if anything, is yours. But think about who actually benefits from that mental model. Not you. Every bill you pay, you're funding someone else's financial stability. Your landlord, the utility company, the subscription service, they all get paid first, reliably, automatically. You, your future, your freedom, your security, get whatever survives. Paying yourself first is an act of financial self-respect. It's saying, my future deserves the same reliability I give everyone else. And once you internalize that, your entire relationship with money starts to shift.
It becomes less about guilt and restriction and more about intention and ownership. Now, here's how you can actually start doing this in a way that's realistic. The first step is to open a separate savings or investment account, not the one connected to your main checking account. That physical separation matters psychologically. Out of sight really does mean out of mind in the best way possible. The second step is to automate a transfer, even if it's just $50. Set it to go out the day after your paycheck hits, automatically, without you having to decide anything. Let the system do the work so your willpower doesn't have to. The third step is to treat that number like a bill, non-negotiable, not something you adjust every time things feel tight, unless things are genuinely difficult. Because here's the truth. When you treat it like a real obligation, your brain will naturally find ways to adjust your other spending. Not dramatically, not painfully, just in small, subtle ways, the same way it always does when something is simply off the table. And once you've done this for 3 or 4 months, something interesting starts to happen. You stop noticing the money that's moving out. Your lifestyle quietly adjusts to what's left, and you start watching a number grow in an account that represents future you, future freedom, future options, future peace of mind. And that number growing does something powerful to how you feel about your finances. It shifts the emotional center from anxiety to momentum. Now, I want to close with something I think about a lot. The reason this rule never got taught in school isn't because it's complicated. It's simple. The reason is a person who understands how to build wealth quietly, steadily, and on their own terms is less dependent, less easy to market to, less likely to make impulsive financial decisions driven by fear or comparison. A financially calm person is actually kind of inconvenient for a system built around constant consumption. That might sound a little cynical, but I don't mean it that way. I mean it as something freeing, because once you see it clearly, once you understand that wealth isn't about income, it's about sequence, and sequence is something you control, you stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for a raise or a better year or a less stressful season of life. You start where you are, with what you have, and you put yourself first. Not because you're greedy, not because you're obsessed with money, but because financial security is what gives you choices. And choices are what make a life feel free. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to start. Imperfectly, honestly, consistently. Because in the long run, consistent beats perfect every single time. And if this video made something click for you, even just a small shift in how you see money, then I want you to do something. Hit the like button right now. Not for the algorithm, but because this kind of content takes real work to put together. And when you like it, it tells me you want more of it. Subscribe to Wealth Vault if you haven't already. This channel is built around one simple idea, that real financial understanding shouldn't be locked behind expensive courses or hidden behind confusing jargon. Every video here is about helping you think more clearly about money, psychology, behavior, and the quiet decisions that shape your financial life. If that's the kind of content you want in your feed, then Wealth Vault is exactly where you need to be. Drop a comment below and tell me, where are you starting from right now? Are you someone who's been paying yourself last your whole life and just realized it? Or maybe you're already started and want to share what shifted for you. Either way, I read every comment, and those conversations genuinely shape what I make next. And if you know someone, a friend, a sibling, a coworker, who's working hard but still feels financially stuck, share this video with them. Sometimes one idea, heard at the right moment, can change everything. Be that person for someone today. I'll see you in the next one.